There is this pervasive idea that if you believe the whistleblowers might be telling the truth, therefore you are gullible. And I just think that is such an asinine idea. We just heard Senator Rounds talking about the whistleblowers that have come forward, serious people. They fear for their job. They're not really getting anything out of coming forward. They're sober people. They have high security clearances. And they're claiming that there is a legacy UFO program that amounts to a UFO cover-up. So there are people behind the scenes doing this that we have not heard of. And as time goes on, I'm sure we'll hear more of them. And there are people who have come forward publicly, like David Grusch, Matthew Brown, and so forth. But here's the deal. Here's where it gets interesting. It's not just whistleblowers recounting a legacy program encompassing retrieving UAP. It's also people having direct encounters like David Fravor and all the other aviators that encountered the Tic Tac. So there's multifaceted evidence supporting the idea that there is an unexplained phenomenon in the world and that there's a cover-up. George Knapp is often references the communication that went public, I think like in the 60s and 70s, maybe prior to that, that was made public because of the Freedom of Information Act getting instituted. These people in government had no idea the Freedom of Information Act was going to get instituted. And so we can see what they were saying about UAP. They were giving credibility to UAP. They were characterizing UAP behind closed doors in a way they were not willing to do outwardly. There is a tremendous amount of real, legitimate evidence that there is an unexplained phenomena that's been going on for decades. It's expressed itself through witnesses, through FOIA documents, through whistleblowers, and it is a worldwide reality, not just a US-centric reality. So some skeptics, even when we acknowledge all this, they want to paint this picture that if you think there is a reasonable chance some of these whistleblowers are telling the truth, you are gullible and misinformed. And that is just asinine. Now, let me be very clear here. I do not have a problem with skepticism. I have a problem with near certainty, and I define that as being 99+% of their position. And the skeptics I have come across are that and beyond. And I don't think that position is intellectually grounded considering the 70+ year historical record and what's going on now. And if we ever do get disclosure, I'm not going to be shocked, because precisely what's happening is what I would have expected to happen if there was a cover-up. I would expect whistleblowers to come forward. I would expect people to see these craft and report these craft. I would expect aviators to see these craft and report this craft. Now, where it gets bizarre and where the skeptics have a great point is you would think that if there was a non-human intelligence presence here, that there would be better evidence in terms of proof, right? I don't know what it is with some skeptics. They conflate evidence and proof. They're not the same thing. They're different. They're distinguishably different. But you would think, like with all our security cameras and all the private satellites up in near Earth orbit, there wouldn't be a persistent ontological stalemate as there is. And that's a fair retort, a valid retort. But for me personally, the amount of evidence that has accrued over the decades outweighs that counter-argument, which leads me to the assessment that it's likely that these non-human intelligences are orchestrating how they reveal themselves to us, and by doing so, controlling who gets evidence and who doesn't, and to what extent, and to the degree of what that evidence amounts to, or how compelling that evidence is. Now, if they're so much further ahead of us, then that is not, by any stretch of the imagination, outlandish or straining credulity. If anything, it's expected. that very advanced civilizations would be able to control who gets evidence and who doesn't. So I guess the point of this video, frankly, a real quick analysis is I don't think anyone is gullible on the basis that they believe the whistleblowers or think there's a good chance that they're telling the truth and that there is a cover-up. And I reject this what I consider a fiction, that if you give credibility to the UFO issue, therefore you are not a good thinker. That is a fiction, in my opinion. It's been repeated so often that people just start believing their own bullshit. And this is what I remind the world. And I'm going to write a beautiful article on this because I'm a tenacious mofo. Listen carefully. If there ever is disclosure, that would prove that there was a cover-up. It would prove that the cover-up was administered by multiple nations. You can't have a cover-up without legitimate evidence. So even if you were to argue that the non-human intelligences did not leave behind good evidence, therefore I was completely justified in calling UFO people nuts, that argument fails, and it fails hard, simply because it's not just the non-human intelligences that would leave evidence behind. It's also governments, because governments are not infallible. They are fallible. They are fallible. And a secret of this magnitude, covering up non-human intelligence, the concealment process of covering up non-human intelligence, would leave behind traces, trails, and evidence. It wouldn't happen in a vacuum. It wouldn't be sterile. Who in their right mind believes that? And so if there is ever disclosure, that just means that there was evidence available and in plain sight the whole time. You know what I'm talking about? I can counter you. That's the marketplace of ideas. I'm here to make you less certain of your position, and I trust you're here to make me less certain of my position. And there's a beauty in that, and I respect that. But this was just a quick thought, quick idea. I'm working on a longer video that's probably also going to get maybe published today. Will we do 2 videos in today? I don't know. But that's all I got to say. If this video does fairly well, I'll continue doing videos like this. When I post videos like this on X, they do very well for the potential that X has. But, these are kind of quick thought videos, philosophical, analytical. And sometimes I feel the fire of God burning in me, and I just want to express my opinion. I hope you have a great day. And don't forget to subscribe, because I love my subscribers. Booyah.